Today is going to be a chit-chat video where I am going to share a very personal story. A story that I learned great lessons from. A story that I had great disappointment, and a story that led to the greatest blessing. Stay tuned. Hi, and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here today. Well, as I said, I have a personal story to share. So I'm going to try to get through this and lay it all out to where it makes sense and share the lessons I learned, the disappointment I had, and the greatest blessing. For those of you that are new, I want to welcome you and I thank you so very much. And for those of you who are here all the time, you know how much I appreciate you being here. Well, I have to start with some recent happenings, and that is the death of my sister. She died a month ago. And it was a very, very difficult situation. So now I have to go back in time and give you a little bit of background information. My sister is 3 years older than I am. I'm 72, she was 75. Growing up, we were not close at all. We had absolutely nothing in common. She was, I guess, what you'd call the normal, typical teenager child, and I guess I was different. She was popular. She loved to do things, go places with her friends, go to concerts, just all the things that kids do. I was a homebody. I didn't go many places. I just liked to stay home. She was into everything that was popular back then. I was not. So we weren't close and we didn't get along that well because she really didn't want me around. And I have to say, I guess I understand because to her, I must have been weird. But anyhow, when I was 18, then I moved away from home. We lived in Pennsylvania. And I stayed away and never moved back. So over all those years from age 18 till about 4 years ago, I've lived somewhere else. And my sister stayed in our hometown in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. So we didn't see each other much. You know, I would go up there and visit occasionally. She would come down where I was living and visit occasionally. But other than that, we didn't get to spend much time together. We would talk maybe once a week on the phone, and that was about it. Well, about 4 years ago, her and her husband Ken came down here to South Carolina, where I live, and they looked around, they loved the area and the community, and they bought a house right here in the same community, a half a mile down the road from where I live. I was so excited. I thought, wow, finally, after all these years, we can be real sisters. I mean, we can truly be sisters by seeing each other every day, going shopping together, go places together, help each other, talk about decorating our homes or what we're doing for Christmas and just different things like that. So I just knew that was the plan. I was thanking God for it. I thought, oh my goodness, something we've never had, that closeness, that relationship, we were finally going to have after all those years. I knew that was his plan. He was going to give that to me, to us, because we missed out on it. Well, I was wrong on his plan. And that was a huge disappointment to me. But let me continue on. After they bought a house here, for the last 4 years, they came down for the winter months for about 6 months and went back to Pennsylvania for the summer months with the intent of eventually selling their home in Pennsylvania and living here full time. Unfortunately, my sister got sick. She found out she had cancer when she was down here. In fact, I took her to the doctor where it was diagnosed. And from there, it was doctor appointment after doctor appointment. It was chemotherapy treatments. It was blood tests, CAT scans, PET scans, surgeries, specialists, and the list goes on and on. So that's how we spent our time together, which really was great because we grew close over that. My sister was always a very private person. She never shared anything. I mean, with anybody, even her best friends. But she would not tell you anything. She kept her emotions inside, and she kept her life very personal. So this whole time that she's going through this battle of cancer, no one knew. The only reason I knew is because it happened here and I took her to the doctor when it was diagnosed and then took her to her appointments and things like that. And of course her husband came too, but I always went with them. So I had to know, and she made me swear not to tell a soul, and I kept that promise. So even though there were bumps in the road, she was going to have to get through all these treatments and surgeries and everything, we were still together and doing those things, and when she would get well, then we could do the fun shopping and go to the beach and maybe do other things that we both enjoy. Unfortunately, that never happened. The treatments ended up not working, and she ended up getting even sicker. Here I had all these plans for us in my head. I could just see us growing old together as sisters, spending our last years together, helping each other through the aging process, and really becoming friends. Little did I know, I had the plan all wrong. That still just kind of baffles me. I just knew it. Have you ever been so sure of something? I mean, this was a gift. I thought, my goodness, look how God is blessing us with this gift to finally be sisters and be friends and like each other and do things together. That was not his plan. I was completely wrong. And I should have never thought that I knew his plan, because none of us know God's plan. So as it turned out, as she got sicker and sicker, especially the last 6 months, And then the last month, I moved up to her house to stay with her while she went through her final days. It's actually, well, I say funny, not funny in a funny way, but I mean, she was always the boss. She was always the one in charge. And here I was put in that position. She asked me to stay with her and live there, and so I did. Now here's where the greatest blessing comes in. Even though I only lived in her home with her and her husband for 1 month, we were closer in that month than we had ever been in our entire lives. She was sleeping in the guest bedroom in a hospital bed, and there was another twin bed in there. She wanted me to sleep in the room with her. So here we were, back sleeping in the same bedroom in twin beds, just 2 feet apart from each other, like we did when we were growing up. For 18 years I slept in the same room as my sister. And so it was like going back in time and having those memories. And it was just a wonderful feeling. That's something I never dreamed we would share again, sleeping in the same room. So that was an unexpected surprise and gift to me. As her needs increased, as the disease consumed her body, and I had to do more and more for her, we got so close. It was on an intimate level, on the kind of level that I don't think you would ever want to show anyone else, even a best friend. To be that vulnerable, to have to be taken to the bathroom, to have to be dressed or bathed. You know, that's pretty personal, and my sister was a very private person, like I said. Usually, you may have a home health nurse that helps you with those kinds of needs, but she wanted me to do it, and I was grateful to be able to do it. She didn't say much, but she told me so much without having to speak a word. By her trusting me like she did, to take care of her, to have her back, to ask all the right questions of the hospice nurses, to look out for her best interest, to help her keep her independence as long as she could. That meant the world to me. She started out on a walker, and it wasn't long during that last month that she could no longer get to the bathroom on the walker. So I got the wheelchair, and I could take her in that. She depended on me. She trusted me. I learned to anticipate what she needed. She didn't even have to speak it if she would have, because I knew what to do. I knew what to get for her. I knew what to try to give her as far as trying to get her to take a bite of something or take a drink of something. She called my name constantly. If she didn't see me in sight, even though I might be right outside the door because I just went to put a load of laundry in, she was looking for me. It made me feel very special, and it made me see how close we were in that last month. Closer than a lifetime if we could have gone shopping and done fun things and just been sisters that like to hang out together. It was a closeness on a level that I had never experienced before. And I certainly never expected it with my sister, because she was the strong one. She could put up a brave front, and you would never know how she's really feeling or what she's thinking. Everything had changed. I knew exactly what she was thinking, and she knew that I knew it. And she was okay with it. You know, helping somebody through their final days of life is one thing. But when it's your own sister, and you have to be the strong one, you have to be the brave one, that's something that I don't think I could have ever done on my own if it wasn't for the strength and the guidance of the Holy Spirit. I don't think I could have made it. Now, my sister, let it be known, I don't want no sad faces. I don't want any tears. I don't want it. I had to abide by that. So I stayed strong. I stayed positive. I kept her lifted up as much as I could. She wouldn't let anyone give her medication except me. Only I could give her morphine and the other drugs she had to take. I don't know why. Maybe it was her way of letting me know how much she loved me and appreciated me. I don't know. I can't answer that question. All I can tell you is it was such a gift. That huge disappointment that we weren't going to spend the next 10 or 15 years together laughing and shopping and hanging out. But we would spend that last month together on a level so intimate that I can't even describe it. So I wanted to share that with you all. I also wanted to make the point that I made a mistake assuming I knew God's will. Now, I didn't do it on purpose. I mean, when I found out she was moving here and we would have this opportunity to be true sisters, of course I looked at that as a blessing from God. And it was. Even though it didn't turn out the way I saw it, it was still a blessing from God, and an even greater one, because I would not trade that level of closeness that I had with my sister for all the amount of years we could have together. To be able to see her through to the very end, to be able to hold her hand, to brush her hair, to do special things for her that brought her comfort, just filled my heart with so much joy. I'm so sad that I had to lose my sister, as anyone would be. But I thank God for the blessing. So I guess my final point is Never assume you know what God's plan is, like I did, because it may be what we think, but not in the way we think. And trust me, His way is so much bigger, so much greater than anything I could have ever hoped for or dreamed of. So I thank God for the valuable lesson I learned, and I thank Him for one of the greatest gifts He could have blessed me with. And that was my sister. Well, now I'm going to leave you with an inside beauty tip. My inside beauty tip today comes from Proverbs 19:21. Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. You know, as humans, we have desires, plans, intentions in our hearts that we want to see come to pass. But the part we can never forget is that God's will, God's plan, God's purpose is divine, and it is always right. His plans are different than our plans. We may not be able to see it right away, but we know that His will shall be done. When I originally had that thought that, oh wow, look at the plan God has for me and my sister, I left a very important part out. When I was thanking Him for it, when I was making all these plans, I left the part out that says, Lord, if it be your will. We can't forget that part. We have to honor His will and know that He does everything for our good and for the good of all. It may be hard to see at the time, but in the end, it is the very best we could ever ask for. Although the sadness of losing my sister runs so deep in me, the love that we shared that last month is far greater than that sadness, and I am truly grateful for it. I thank you so much for being here today. I truly do appreciate it. And until we meet again, this is the old girl signing out. See ya.